Hi everyone, Kevin here from Golf Guy Reviews, and in this video today I'm going to give you my full review of the brand new Nike Air Zoom Victory Tour 2 golf shoes. Now these are a spiked golf shoe from Nike that retail here in the UK for £160 and $180 in the States. Now I've used these quite a few times out on the course, so I'm going to give you my full in-depth review. I'm going to let you know how they fit, how they feel, and how they perform out on the golf course. The Air Zoom Victory Tour 2 is Nike's latest attempt at doing a more traditional style golf shoe while also keeping it modern and fresh. Now that's going to divide a lot of opinion out there because some people are going to really like this full leather upper golf shoe, but also some people were going to wish that maybe they toned it down a little bit as well, because there's certainly some quite striking design elements with the shoe. You can see here that you've got this kind of athletic fin on the back that kind of replicates some of Nike's running shoes at the moment, and also some of the other styling details. So the way that the TPU upper kind of sculpts up and splits the midsole foam there, that is quite aggressive and athletic for a shoe, but it does still keep that kind of traditional-ish look. So for me personally, I quite like the style of this. I like the fact that, you know, you've got this kind of pinstripe Nike swoosh in there. I like the matching colour stitching that you've got on the side of the upper, and I even quite like the fin actually. I think it gives it quite a cool, differentiated look out on the course. Now, before I go through actually how these performed out on the golf course for me, I'm going to let you know how they fit and feel. First of all, I've got to say that these for me fit true to size. So I'm a UK 9 and I'm more than happy with the fit that I got as a UK 9. I definitely didn't feel that I needed to size down or size up at all. It's not necessarily the tightest fitting golf shoe, so it's not something like the Nike Infinity Tours, which are just crazy tight and really hug and wrap your foot, but definitely they're not necessarily the widest golf shoe as well. So if you've got a really wide foot and that's something of a concern for you, you might want to look elsewhere and go for a more kind of specialist golf shoe, because I don't think I've seen Nike release a wide fit version of these yet. You've got a good amount of room in the toe box. As you can kind of see there, it's quite a rounded toe box as well. It's not too pointy, so you've got a nice amount of room for your toes in there. And in terms of this leather upper, it's actually quite nice and soft. Now, Nike call this a sophisticated leather. I'm not sure what that's about. I think Nike need to have a word of themselves in the marketing department. I don't know what makes a leather sophisticated, but you can see here, this full grain effect right across the upper. And it's not done too bad so far in terms of creasing. I've used these for 3 or 4 rounds now, and there's a little bit of creasing going along on the toe box, but it's not massive there. I do like the way the upper locks down the foot quite nicely, and you can see here that there's not a huge amount of room here on the laces section. It's quite a thin slit for the tongue, and that means that the upper can really kind of wrap over your foot as you do the laces up. So it does give you a good secure fit, and I do feel nice and stable in the upper. While talking about the stability of the upper, there's something else that I did just want to cover off quickly, and hopefully you can see there on the camera, Nike have put in a piece of material there that's designed to kind of help you give a little bit more support and a closer fit to the foot when you put these shoes on. Now personally, I've got to say, I didn't really feel the effect of that bit of material in there. I don't know what Nike are talking about when they're saying that it really gives you a better kind of fit, because this is quite a thick, firm leather. Interesting. I don't feel that extra bit of material is really doing anything at all for me. Now the tongue is very thin on this shoe. You can see that there's hardly any padding there. There's a tiny bit of padding in the middle of the tongue, but it's very thin on this upper. And I did have a concern that maybe the laces were gonna, dig into my foot a little bit where there's not too much padding on the shoe, but I didn't have any problem with that whatsoever. Where I did have some issues in regards to the fit of these shoes was in the heel of the shoe. Now for me, I'm okay if a shoe needs a little bit of breaking in. Certainly when it is, a leather upper, I've not got any issues with that. It's so long as I know that I'm going to be needing to break them shoes in before I go out for a full round. So for example, something like the FootJoy Pro SL, the world's best-selling golf shoe, I feel needs breaking in because they give me blisters right out of the box. It's the same with these. And I was a little bit surprised with that actually. So when I wore these, for my first round, for my second, even my third round, I had to put plasters on halfway through the round because they were giving me blisters there at the heel. I was a little bit surprised because, Nike looked to have done something interesting there with the way that they cut out the back of the leather and kept this foam piece there exposed. But to be honest, unfortunately, that didn't necessarily do anything for me, and I got blisters at the back. Now, I did worry as well that I was going to get blisters at the front of the shoes because this leather at the front does seem to come up quite high, and I did feel a little bit of rubbing at the front of my ankles on each side. However, not bad enough that I got any blisters, and actually after a few holes that kind of went away, that feeling. So maybe that's just something you just need to get used to with these shoes. Now if you are thinking about buying a pair of these shoes, I've included my affiliate links down below in the the description. And also, if you are finding this video helpful, make sure you smash that like button. In terms of comfort underfoot, and Nike have done a fantastic job with these shoes. They are incredibly comfortable underfoot because you have got a full-length Air Zoom pocket above the midsole foam, and that's actually stitched into the upper. It's stitched right into the sides at the very bottom of the upper, rather than it just necessarily being kind of planted in the middle of the midsole foam. So the Air Zoom unit is really a part of this shoe, and I think that's what's giving it a real good level of comfort. Now, what you've also got as well is a plate on the bottom of the inner sole. So the inner sole is lightly glued in, but you've got a plate on the bottom, and then I believe you've also got a plate running underneath the Air Zoom as well, above the midsole foam, and that means you're getting a good amount of stability. So with the Air Zoom Infinity Tours, where you had the big Air Zoom pockets as well as the React foam, I just felt that shoe was really unstable out on the course. But with these, I didn't have any problems with stability whatsoever. I'm really actually impressed with the stability of these shoes. Just to point out, you've also got the React foam here at the heel, so it gives you a little bit more extra cushioning on the heel of the shoe. And then I believe you've just got some regular Phylon foam at the front of the shoe, where, to be honest, I didn't necessarily feel that much of a difference between the softness of the heel and the firmness of the toe, but as I say, it is nice and comfortable right underfoot. One last thing before we actually talk about how they performed out on the golf course, and I just wanted to show you all how they performed with my waterproof test. I poured over 300 millilitres of water right over the upper, as well as on the tongue and laces section there. And as you can see here, that actually they did let quite a bit of water through on the tongue and laces. Now on the tongue here, you have got a perforated section now, so you are getting a little bit of breathability through that tongue area. And unfortunately, that does mean that you're just gonna let some water in. Now, I don't have any problems with these shoes if you're gonna be wearing them, you know, on a wet, dewy course, or even just if it's generally raining a little bit, you're gonna be absolutely fine. But if you are expecting to play in some seriously heavy downpours, then these might let in a little bit of water. In terms of the design, Nike have got a white and black version that they launched with, and I've got here a Volt Green version, which at the moment I believe is all sold out pretty much right away around the world. Now Nike have also released their first energy pack with these, and it's a 100% recycled canvas upper, and it also uses Nike's recyclable midsole foam. I believe it's called Crater Foam, and it's a 10% mesh. No, that's not the right word. What is it? 10% crumb. Is it crumb? So the first energy version is a recycled version of these shoes, which is really great to see. So let's talk about how these perform out on the golf course for me. Now you can see here that you've got the 7 spikes on the sole of this shoe here, and it is a split TPU sole. So you can see that you've got a slightly different kind of section here at the rear with a U shape, and then you've got the rest of the sole, which actually comes up through the midsole of the shoe. Now, in terms of how these performed out on the course, I've got to say that they give me tons of grip. I was really impressed with the level of grip that I got from these. I didn't slip once, and they gave me plenty of grip. So I'm more than happy with the grip that these provide. Interestingly, Nike say that this is an integrated traction system, so it combines spikes with some traction on this TPU system. Now, I've got to say here, Nike, I think, you know, you might want to have a word with your marketing department again, because I would say that this kind of TPU section here isn't giving me much grip. I think, to be honest, I wouldn't call this a hybrid system whatsoever. I think you're getting all the grip from the spikes here. What I was also really impressed with these shoes was the stability. So Nike have done a good job in combining that Air Zoom unit as well as the React foam to give you great comfort underfoot, but also making sure it is nice and stable and planted so your feet doesn't feel that it's going to kind of roll around on the side. You've got plenty of stability to enable you to generate plenty of force from your golf swing. Now, ultimately, these are, I would call these kind of like Nike's top-end golf shoes that I think a lot of golfers are going to be using on the professional tour. We've already seen Rory McIlroys in these shoes. So those type of golfers really want a good amount of stability because they're putting in extreme forces into their golf shoes. And so personally, I've been really impressed with these shoes. They gave me plenty of stability out of the course, gave me plenty of confidence, and when you combine the technological elements of this shoe, it feels nice and firm where you want it to, but it's nice and soft underfoot too. So to summarize this golf shoe, I think Nike have done a really good job in a lot of areas. Personally, I think it looks really great, and I like the fact that it is a more classically styled shoe while staying modern and contemporary. I really like the colour options and designs available, and I really like the comfort underfoot of the shoe, as well as the performance out on the golf course. What I'm not so keen on is the fact that actually it's taken me quite a while to break these in at the rear, and also the fact that there was a little bit of discomfort at the front of this upper rubbing on the front of my ankles. I hope you enjoyed this video today and found it helpful, so smash that like button if you did. And if you are looking for a pair of the most stable golf shoes you can buy, then why not check out my comparison review here of the top 3 most stable golf shoes that I tested last year.